Next Friday marked International Day of the Boy Child. We'll take a look at how society can create a safe space for young boys. Stay with us.
Morning, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, good, thank you.
That's good, thank you.
Second guest. Bongani, good morning. It's Master Chaba from Newzroom Afrika. Good morning, Bongani.
Hi, okay. Hold on.
Welcome back to the Weekend Report. I'm Master Chaba Mposwa. In today's society, boys face overwhelming pressures from traditional masculinity and the dominant alpha male culture, making it difficult for them to find spaces where they can express their emotions safely. They often receive both direct and subtle messages suggesting that showing any emotional vulnerability is a weakness. Many navigate their formative years without emotionally available fathers or positive male role models, leaving them often without guidance on how to express their feelings in a healthy way. So how can we address everyday situations that create an unsafe environment for boys? Let's discuss this now with Mentorship Manager at the character company, Thando, Malepe, and founder of the Cool Dads Foundation, Bongani, Luvalo. Good morning, gentlemen. Welcome to Newzroom Afrika.
Good morning, Ms. Chaba. Thank you so much for having me and really looking forward to the interview.
Thank you so much for your time. And good morning to you, Bongani. Firstly,
Good morning, Ms. Chaba.
good morning. Thanks for your time. Firstly, I'd love for you both to tell me about your respective organizations. Let's start with you, Thando, the Character Club.
Thank you. The Character Company, it's a long-term mentorship program for boys growing up without father figures or without positive role models in their lives. We've realized that there's a gap in our society where fathers are removed from the picture for various reasons. And we said, let's step in the gap. We provide long-term mentorship where we provide values. We say, let's teach from value perspective. We need to bridge in the gap through long-term mentorship intervention, where we come in, we vet and screen the mentors that we place with the group of not more than 5 boys that the mentors see once a week, take them through the life experience. We say we use our brokenness as mentors because we also have our own challenges and we take them through that. We also do camps, but the most important that we say, we want to recognize that the boys ahead, there's no male figures that are willing to step in to guide them through their journey as they grow old, and we're trying to bridge that gap.
Yeah. Now, Bongani, tell us about the values of the Cool Dads Foundation and who's a cool dad?
Ashara, thanks for the opportunity. Look, a cool dad is a man, whether you have fathered or not fathered a child, but you have decided to be present and, bridge the gap and be that active male, role model in that child's life. If you have fathered a child, it's you being emotionally and physically present in your child's life, becoming a friend to your child, becoming that hero. But most importantly, we have got a big brother mentorship program where we are focusing on boys that are coming from child-headed households, who are raised by mothers. They do not have a father. So we try and organize a cohort of what we call social fathers, so that we're able to instill that male figure in their lives. And we work close with schools, so we'd get a group of boys in each high school between the age grade 8 and grade 10, and we meet with them once a month. On a Saturday, they come with their teachers, and we do different activities, from workshops on self-esteem, behavior, career guidance, exposure in terms of taking them just to the movies, having a burger with them. There are kids and boys who do not even know what a pizza or a burger looks like. So ours is to try and expose and inculcate that, positive masculinity through different activities. Even right now, actually, we're busy trying to put together a one-stop shop for mothers who do not have, who are single mothers and are needing a social father. So by the next end of June, we will be coming to present the program, trying to have mothers who would like to have that male figure, helping them out, because many of our mothers or single mothers need that role model or that figure that can play or bridge that gap.
And Thando, through the character company and the work that you've done on the ground, what would you say are some of the greatest challenges facing the boy child today?
Yeah, thank you for that. I think, looking at my own background as well, my story since I started mentorship and, working throughout the country, South Africa is a diverse country. We have so many, languages, different cultures. And, like the challenges of fatherlessness or without having positive male figures in the boy's child, they're not, faced by a specific demography. It's a national challenge. And the challenges that we've seen, I think from myself, coming from the townships, we are exposed to a lot of the bad things. It might be substance, like this, the GPV that, like if you stand in the informal settlement as a product of that, you hear the fights, then the kids are exposed to these things. But also the lifestyles, the lifestyle is really bad sometimes, because what you see or the environment that you grow up in, most of the time actually models you or gives you a bit of, okay, this is the direction that I need to take, because I don't have exposure to outside world from where I am. And, with that, then, the boys then grow up with that specific mindset of saying, I am who I am here based on the environment that I'm based in. When I started with the mentorship, it was that time back when we had the movements of East Kotani, and we realized, that time most of these boys, they are absorbed by those, movements, or they're exposed to these things that are happening there. How do we then pull them into giving them a safe space where there's positive male figures that are willing to walk the journey with them? Because I think the danger with that is we don't have, the groups or the movements that are saying, let's take our boy child and then let's address the challenges that they're facing. I mean, like, if you look at the statistics, it's actually shocking to see that more boys actually are exposed to, the substance, they're exposed to material that they consume online, because that is the biggest challenge that we've seen now with our teenage boys, where, it's either, they're exposed to pornography material, and from that, also what they're feeding from online, it's either the content that they're consuming as well. It's not something that is encouraging or building. And with that is, I need to, to take this journey, because this is what I see online, and probably this is the way of life. And how do we then have people that are willing to step in to say, no, you can still have a better opportunity, direction in life to address these issues? Because some of us, the environment or our society and communities build the way we think. We think, this is all that I need to do. I need to go to school. Sometimes they drop out because there's no person that actually instilling the discipline and someone that is willing to walk with them through the challenges that they have in life. Mm-hmm. So it's so many things that the boys are going through emotionally, and the societal pressures, it's one of those things, because there's more expectation on a boy child.
Yeah. So Thando mentioned gender-based violence and femicide, Bongani. And with South Africa having one of the highest rates of GBV in the world, clearly we have a problem, right? Because most crimes are perpetrated by men who were once boy children. To what would you attribute this very scary increasing rate of gender-based violence, and how do you think we address this issue from the boy child?
Look, Michelle, I think for me, it's one of those things that I'm really concerned about. And I think as a movement, we are quite concerned with, I'll call it probably the attitude of society towards addressing this sketch. We know where the problem is, but we are thinking it will resolve itself. You know, if we really look at how much are we investing, whether it be a boy child or speaking or trying to change the mindset and the behavior of men in general as a country, you know, whether it be public sector or private sector, you know, it's like we're trying to tick the boxes. Yes, we are complying with this. It was an international boy child. Yes, we've done it, we've passed, you know. I don't think we're being intentional in the programs that we're bringing to the fore. We're not intentional. If I can ask you, after take a girl child to work, what other big initiative have we initiated as a society in South Africa to try and speak and prepare a boy? This is months. What is it that we are doing as a serious initiative that seeks to instill and probably channel a boy child mind to say, this is how we're supposed to behave in society? Honestly, we've not done much, if actually I can say nothing, you know, because it's just a little bit of a drop here, a drop there. You look for support for this kind of initiatives, whether from the private sector or the public sector. There isn't much. But I am telling you, if we're not going to do anything about this, these are problems that are not going to resolve themselves, Maschaba. Actually, as a country, we are sitting on a ticking time bomb. And if we think we have seen the worst, there is more that is going to come if we're not going to give attention to a boy child, if we're not going to pay attention to men's mental health. I'm attending a literature festival. I was speaking to a white guy yesterday, you know, as I was jumping, trying to buy a book, and we just had a young chat. And he was telling me, and we always think it's only white, black people that have got these problems. And he was sharing, you know, his relationship. Says, look, my father was very abusive to my mother. You know, at some point he left home, he became estranged. And in my marriage, when the other time I shouted at my wife and my wife cried, and I tried to understand, and she says, look, in my home, my father has never raised his voice. So even a white boy child is having the same challenges that we are having as black people. And if we're not going to pay attention, Mashaba, and invest resources, the resources that are misused in the public sector, in the private sector, could be resources that respond to programs that Kuldas Foundation, What About the Boys, and my brother here, Thando, that is initiating. And we pay attention and say, we're going to be diligent in trying to fix and channel a mind of a boy child that will become you know, a full human being that creates or contributes to a safe environment that all of us can live in peacefully.
All right. And Thando, in closing and very briefly, how do we create those safe spaces for our boy children, especially looking at such issues that Bongani has raised, such as mental health?
Yeah, I think it has to start with us, you know, especially, you know, what Bongani said. We need to call out all men. We need to step up. We need to step into the gap because I think the challenge came with the fact that men never had the space, or they're not coming out to the space when, you know, there's this call out to say, let's gather as men. You know, it has to start with us to create that. But I think the challenge is the fact that we don't know how to express our emotions as men. But we need to go out when the call is there to say, man, it's time really to step up, because you cannot expect the boy child to actually be open if the environment that he's growing up
is not conducive.
Definitely, you
for
know,
him to be open.
Definitely. So I think it started back in the day, you know, because men never had the space to actually express themselves, and also don't know how to. And I think it's time now to say, it has to take that coach, you know, the male teachers, you know, the community leaders to come together to work as organization. Let's collaborate and create those safe spaces, because I think the organizations are there, but sometimes the exposure is not enough. So we're calling out to the social media, you know, all the networks to say, let's work together. But it takes us as men to step up. And yeah.
Thando, thank you so much for your time. And Bongani, thank you so much for your time as well.